Yo, what is up guys? Welcome back to a brand new league racing video on F1 2021. This is PSGL round 1 around Portimao in Portugal. We're currently heading out for our first Q1 run. I've done my installation lap on the intermediates and now gonna do my out lap on the softs. Alessio Di Capo behind us, F1 esports driver for Williams. A lot of F1 esports drivers on this grid. Brandon Lee, Danny Bresnay, Josh Dowo, Barry Borrament, Alvaro Caraton, Alessio Di Capua, probably missing out a few. Simon Weigang is in here as well. Nicolas Longa and Fabricio De Nozo are doing a few races as well. Timon Schutte, driver for Alfa Romeo, as you can see there.
Rip.
First lap in Q1, invalidated, but luckily with enough fuel to go for another one straight away. You can see there 15.7 from Barry Borrament. We're going to try and beat that, of course. That time around we did get it right. Absolutely spot on that wide line. And to be honest, this is not my strongest track. And I have had pretty poor preparation because of the 24-hour Le Mans that was happening 3 days prior to this. So all my preparation went into this, or into the 24-hour Le Mans. And not going to lie, I was also a little bit too lazy after the 24 hours. With practice for this race. Of course, it's been a busy season with F1 Esports, and after that I straight away had to practice for Le Mans, but that's no excuse. I should have practiced more, especially qualifying pace is lacking around here. It was the same in F1 Esports, so felt like I should have done a little bit more going into this already. Now, a bit wide through that left-hander, as there's a car on the inside on the grass there. I don't remember that at all, to be honest. I think I didn't even see it. That's how far it into the grass is. But now, finishing our first Q1 lap of this qualifying session up to the line is going to be a 1:15.828, which is good enough for P5 behind Jake Benham and Thomas Ronhaar. And in the end of Q1, I went out on the same set of tires just to get some more laps in, get a better feeling for the track.
Not
and
bad.
We went up to P6.
We take those. We take those.
As you can hear me say, we take those. Pretty happy with that used tire run in the end. Jake Benham there, 5 place grid penalty. I think Alessio Di Capo had the same. But yeah, good session. I feel like the second lap was a lot better. Used tires, 15.7. Now, starting our first new tire run in Q2. I already did a lap on used tires, but that was invalidated, so just to make sure I'm not starting on those tires, but I do have a Delta now. To 21, 6th gear again, can carry slightly more minimum speed. Then in Q1, more grip of course, track evolution is playing a part here, and not easy to adapt yourself of course that quickly with such little laps available to you. Now, half stand up on our previous lap, 2.6 stands up on Alessio Di Capua. Usually we're pretty fast on the used tires compared to others, which helps in something like Q3. And now through the next right-hander. This is the hardest corner on the track, the uphill right-hander, where the balance shifts to oversteer as you go up the hill. And as you can see there, a few moments ago, Shanika Clay, P1, with a new session best. A bit wide there, a bit too much understeer. And only 2 tenths up on Louis Welch, who was on the mediums. And he might try to start on the mediums. As you can see there, he has a 16.2. Going into the final corner now. Bit better than our used tire one.
Oh, that was so bad.
As you can hear me say there, not happy with that lap. But it's still going to be a decent lap time up to the line. It's a 1:15.713. Only 600ths off P1. So not too bad. I felt like I could have made it into Q3. Just with one run. But it was not going to be enough. As you can see here, Barry's still on a lap. He's definitely going to improve on us. And Louis Welch as well.
What? I thought it was a car.
On an improvement. So we're P11 now out of Q2. Honestly, I felt kind of okay with it. Felt like I could go for the ultimate strat and fight from there. I did the same on China, of course. As you can see there, P1 was a 1:15.537. I felt like I definitely could have made it into Q3, but I kind of wanted to have 2 new sets of tires for Q3 if I did make it, so I would have a better shot at pole position. But yeah, didn't make it unfortunately. with that one run in Q2. Now straight into the race. After Q3 there were a lot of there was a restart because of grid penalties that were unfair. But as you can see there, we are going to start on the hards, and we're going to be the only car on the grid on the hard compound. And I felt like it was a big risk, but I did it last week in China in the test race, and I felt like it could work around here as well. All I need to do is stay in the DRS train of the top 10, or just follow Louis Welch around, for example. That's going to be the main objective. Just try to stay with those medium runners, and then late on in or hard stint overtake some medium runners back and maybe even create a gap. But now let's head into the race. It's going to be 5 red lights and away we go. It's a pretty good initial start, but then that medium rubber just grips up slightly better compared to Louis Welch. Of course, he's not bad. They have slightly better traction, but not much anymore. And then into the next right, and then we're going to go down the inside of Liam Parnell. We'll leave the door open, and that gained us so many positions. Up to P9, side by side with Louis Welch. Simon Weigand has damage, so up to P9 we go again. And now we're right behind Louis Welch. You don't want to fight him into the next hairpin. As I said, I want to follow him around. Alessio Di Capua sends it down the inside as he taps our rear. But we managed to keep it on track, pointing in the right direction. And you can see there, 2 soft runners behind us. Alessio Di Capua and Simon Weigand, but Simon has that damage, but straight away he gets overtaken by Matthijs, who is also on the softs, and that means we had a phenomenal start on those hards. Even though our grip disadvantage, we managed to gain 3 positions. You can see there's no grip on the hards at the moment, struggling very much, and that's why I'm not going to be fighting Alessio Di Capua and Matthijs when they go for a move, as I just want to follow them around. I just want to have the DRS for the next 10 or so laps. The softs are going to be a lot faster. Tire wear is low, but the softs are not that much faster that they can pull out of the DRS in the space of a lap, because of course next lap we're already going to have DRS and Matthijs still needs to get past us. So just going to stick behind Alessio now, and I expect Matthijs to make a move somewhere in the middle sector as well. So we're not going to fight that, we're just going to take a chill and follow them around on that hard tire. We're not in the same fight at the moment. As well. Can you say that? I didn't expect Matthijs to be on soft, so I was a bit surprised with that. But Matthijs goes down the inside. We are not fighting him.
I thought he was on medium or something.
We're just gonna let him go, and we're gonna try and follow him around, take the advantage of the DRS, and then once they pit, then that's the moment when the hards come into play compared to the medium runners, and we can start making big moves. Now on to the end of lap 8. You can see we still have the DRS, but I did have to drain my battery quite a lot to stick with Matthijs and Alessio. You can see Timer behind me on the mediums is struggling to stay with us as well. So we're not the only ones on the Ultimate Strat that are struggling, and you can see Matthijs spun off. This is a big issue for us, because now we do not have the DRS anymore. We do not have the ERS or tire advantage to catch up to Alessio, and the mediums at this point in the race are still faster. So unless we can gain half a second somewhere in this middle sector to Alessio, which is very unlikely because we do not, as you could see through the hairpin, have the tire advantage, even though I was pushing as hard as I can compared to Alessio. As I said before, this strategy is very tricky to do, simply because if something like that happens, you're screwed. And now moving on to 7 laps later, Louis Welch has a 3.3 second gap, and basically the pit window to the soft compound opens within 2 or 3 laps. So this is a very difficult situation, because we do not have the raw pace, as I said earlier on in the video, to make.
I really don't want to go up to softs already.
Or to make big lap times, I should say. Now moving on a few laps later, we have catched up to Louis Welch by 4 or 5 tenths, and going to the next left-hander we gained another 2 tenths. So the hards are better at this point. We have managed to break the DRS to Joni Tormela. So the hards are better at this point, but this is when the pit window is opened, and as you can see in front of us, Louis Welch has come into the pits. I felt like that was the wrong thing to do, so I'm going to stay out for another few laps and use those hards to my advantage. You can see in the bottom left. I have no ERS to play with whatsoever, which is not ideal, but we just have to wait until we pit, and then we can recharge some of the ERS. Joni Tormela behind us has pitted as well, and then Dario Lomulo pitted that lap that you just saw. And now at the end of lap 21, we're going to come into the pits as well for a set of soft tires.
Kind of wanted to wait for safety car or something, but the odds of that happening is very small.
You can even say there, I hoped for a safety car, but that was not coming. So unfortunate, but it's what it is. Louis Welch has gone early, as I said before, end of lap 19, sorry, same as Joni Tormela, and I went end of lap 21, so 2 laps longer, and I went 1 lap longer than Dario Lomulo, who somehow did not manage to undercut us. So he's had a pretty poor outlap, I think so. Maybe
to come out ahead of Lomulo?
You can even say there, I was pretty surprised with that. But now, timing ahead of us, we went for a very aggressive undercut, but I did not feel confident pitting early on the softs, so I felt it was better off waiting. Timing now ahead of us on that older set of softs, and we're gonna line up a move. Early on in the lap I saw he was flashing, so he was low on ERS, and he had a bit of a moment out of that last corner, so we're gonna tuck in the slipstream, use our ERS, and then time does go defensive. We set a fast lap of the race, and into P11 we go, but there's only 10 laps remaining, and yeah, we're only P11, so it's not looking very likely. In China we made a lot of moves, of course, in a very short time, but it seems like the softs are not as strong around here as in China, so it's not looking very likely that we're gonna finish on the podium at this point. And it's kind of because we couldn't stick to the back of Louis Welch earlier on in this race. Very unfortunate, but it is what it is. We are going to have to push on and maximize our result here in this race. You can see we've catched up to Joni Tormela and Alessio Di Capua. Alessio on the mediums has no DRS, so this should be an easy move for Joni Tormela. Alessio also with the 6-second time penalty, so I'm not sure if he's going to fight us too hard. Not sure, of course, if those penalties could be removed or if they were unfair for some reason. But now we're right with Joni Tormela, 2 tenths behind, and Joni is right with Alessio Di Capua, so don't want to go for a move just yet on Joni, as I expect Joni to get past Alessio on this straight, and then we are going to try and get past Alessio in the middle sector. Now we're going to open the DRS and just sit behind and wait for Joni. Alessio flashing as well, you can see, trying to keep a bit of distance, so that's why I was lifting, and then have a better exit, less dirty air. And you can see it worked very, very well, because Alessio had to go defensive, because we had that momentum and didn't struggle with mid-corner understeer of the dirty air. Alessio goes defensive here, but has less battery, so we go to the outside and brake a little bit later. We have extra grip, of course. Alessio pushes us a little bit wide, but then on the exit he gives us enough space, so there was some good racing right there. And now we're gonna try and recharge our battery a little bit in the next few laps to try and do something to the top 7. You can see in the bottom left, Louis Welch is not caught up to that top 7 cars on the mediums as well. So I'm just gonna sit behind Joni, not fight him, and just recharge my battery in the coming laps to see if we can catch the top 7 and make some moves there. Now, end of lap 28, you can see we've got 35% battery, which I do not want to use on Joni Tormela. I want to save that for later on. Joni lets us go, and I think he wants to recharge his battery as well. So now we're gonna try and catch up to Louis Welch. We're stuck behind Brendan Lee on the hards. I think Brendan is the only one on the hards of that group, so we were not the only one to use hards in the end. But yeah, those hards were probably not the best race tire, and that was probably a big mistake of me to do, because we had that great start, of course. On the mediums would have been even better, and yeah, unfortunate, but it is what it is now. Going into the last lap of the race, we've got 40% battery, which we're not using just yet. We're gonna save that for the middle sector. You can see Louis Welch is already flashing, and just like I did to Alessio, I'm gonna keep a bit of a gap into turn 1, so we've got less dirty air, and then we can attack on that middle sector straight. You can see Louis goes a little bit wide, and that gains us an extra 10th. Now into the next hairpin, we've got that better tires as well, of course, so we should get a bit better traction over here. And we do manage to stay very close with him. We turn on the overtake button, and Louis goes a bit defensive, so he cannot make a dive when we go around the outside. Louis goes a bit wide, pushes a little bit off. We are alongside. Poor traction from us on that curb, but we still have more ERS. Into the next right-hander. I pushed Louis a little bit too far off track, but he managed to recover from that. Luckily, there was asphalt, so more than enough grip. And now we're 6/10 behind Brendan, but our battery is empty as well, so it's very unlikely we can do anything here in this last sector. You can see backhand stepping out in this final sector, and there's nothing we're going to be able to do unless there are time penalties up front or Brendan makes a mistake, which is very unlikely. Into the next right-hander then.
Shit race.
Let me say, not happy with that race. Yeah, bit of a wake-up call that even though I'm world champion on 2020 and 2021, I still need to practice as well for league races, especially when others are grinding it as well. So yeah, a bit poor for me there, to be honest. Should have practiced more, no excuse for that, which I will for the next race. I'll practice very hard for the next race, which I'll be doing from Brackley at the F1 factory, as I have to go there this week. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video nonetheless. Make sure to like and subscribe if you guys want to see more, and see you guys next time. Ciao.